I had to start this video out with a disclaimer. Although I did visit Knott's Berry Farm, I only got a taste of what this park has to offer. Originally, I wasn't planning on making a video on it, but the coasters I did ride and my overall experience needs to be talked about. So without beating around the bush, this is my coaster count and legit mini review of Knott's Berry Farm. My name is Avery, and this is United Coasters. Located in Buena Park, California, just 15 minutes from Disneyland, is Knott's Berry Farm. Operating since 1940, this park is rich with history stemming from the Knott's family. Starting in 1923, the family was known for selling berries, pies, and other varieties of food, gaining enough popularity to start a summer-long county fair. That fair eventually grew to become America's first theme park, Knott's Berry Farm. Well, at least that's what they claim, considering Lake Compounce in Connecticut is older. Eventually, in 1997, the Knott's family sold their park to Cedar Fair, and fast forwarding to today, the park is home to 9 roller coasters with one currently being reimagined. Out of all the parks I previously visited, no other park has pulled off multiple themes as well as Knott's. The 4 major areas are as vast as they are stunning to look at. They have an old western ghost town, Fiesta Village in the front of the park, a boardwalk area to the back, and a kids area called Camp Snoopy. Although they feel distinct, the through line throughout all of these areas is that old western California chill vibe. Okay, now let's get into the coasters. The first one I rode was Silver Bullet. This B&M invert is almost jutting out of the entrance to the park and greets everyone who comes in with its massive cobra roll. After taking your seat, Silver Bullet exits to the right, traveling up to a height of 146 feet. The coaster drops to the right to traverse a shallow 100-foot loop. You feel more speed and whip on this than airtime compared to other B&Ms, and it's also short-lived as you immediately get placed into a high outward banking left turn into the previously mentioned cobra roll. Now, this element is forceful, and you'll feel constant positive G's throughout it. After, Silver Bullet starts on the second part of the ride, taking you on an awesome series of elements. Coming out of the cobra roll, you immediately get sent up into a 0G roll that points you turning left and down almost 360 degrees. The coaster then takes you on a corkscrew, ending you pointing to the left before sending you on another corkscrew that flips you to the right. This is the craziest part of the ride for me because the series of forces are just insane. Your momentum off the first corkscrew is halted from that middle section just for the coaster to flip you the other way. At this point, Silver Bullet drops low to the water, turning and rising to end at the block brakes to the final brakes. This part at the end looks really stunning when you see it off-ride, but when you're actually on it, it's kind of a slow part for me. And that's just one of the reasons why Silver Bullet is a near perfect B&M invert for me. Only because I like the ending elements more than the beginning ones. Maybe I just like the familiarity of the other inverts, but having that outward banking turn after the first loop instead of having a 0G roll like on practically every other invert wasn't as noteworthy for me. This coaster is fast as it is forceful. The one thing that stands out the most out of the other inverts is its color. Where other B&Ms stick with 1 or 2 standard colors of white, blue, red, or yellow, Silver Bullet's Baja style of red, yellow, and sea blue is the aesthetic that mostly resonates with California, and I'm all for that. Next, I went on the fastest coaster that I've ever experienced so far, Accelerator. There are many coasters here for everyone at Knott's, but this intimate coaster was the main reason I wanted to go here. Getting on this crazy ride only being secured by a lap bar and seatbelt is something that all coaster fans need to experience. After the all clear has been called, Accelerator is instantaneously launched from inside the station, getting pulled along the track via a hydraulic launch. This launch accelerates you from 0 to 82 miles per hour in 2.3 seconds flat, sending you out and up the 205-foot top hat before sending you down at 90 degrees. When you're getting launched, the only thing you can hear is the wind, and if your eyes are open, you'll barely recognize the height you just climbed in that short amount of time. It's only at the apex of the top hat that your hearing normalizes and you fully take in that California skyline. And that's only for a moment because you're falling back down to earth again, twisting into the next part of the ride. Now, usually coasters like this would just go into the final brakes. Rest in peace King Dakar and the original Top Thrill Dragster. But Accelerator travels in an incline that turns inward to the left. That part then straightens and falls only to rise inward to the right in a figure 8 pattern, ending at the final brakes. This part of the ride is really smooth and the entire thing is not at all scary. To tell you the truth, Accelerator is not a gut-wrenching experience at all in terms of fear. In fact, I felt more fear from watching the coaster than I did riding it. This coaster needs to be ridden in the front for that true sense of speed on the launch, and that launch is still vivid in my head. For perspective, Accelerator is the first hydraulic launch coaster I've ridden, and its top speed rivals that of both Poltergeist at my home part of Fiesta, Texas with its top speed of 60 miles per hour, and even Full Throttle at Magic Mountain, which maxes out at 70 miles per hour, a full 12 miles per hour slower than Accelerator. Yeah, this coaster is a true force of speed, and I love every bit of it. The last coaster I rode here is one of the crowd magnets, Hang Time. Even though Ghost Rider is essentially the fan favorite, I can't fully back up the claim since I didn't get a chance to ride that one unfortunately. I'll explain more about that later. But for now, let's talk about the 5-time inverting Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster. Hang Time stands out as the attraction to ride in this area, offering a thrilling ride in such a small footprint. You pull out of the station right into a vertical lift that has you staring at the sky. This brings you to 150 feet into its iconic segment, the stall on the first drop. After slowly moving to the edge, hang time holds you there in anticipation before diving into its first drop. The views of the surrounding area are overshadowed by the reveals of what lies ahead on hang time. After the drop, the ride sends you up to the right, twisting inward to the left, starting its -G stall loop. This is a one-of-a-kind loop that looks like a modern version of a bow tie or butterfly element, but offers a sense of, well, hang time throughout it. Still ending the same as a bow tie, the coaster points you out the opposite way you entered, bringing you into a tight corkscrew. Instead of intense speed, this corkscrew has an emphasis on height, and you feel that as hang time leaves you hanging throughout it. I'm not apologizing for the puns, stop typing that. You exit that element going into a cutback that turns around, dropping you into a cobra roll. This drop offers a nice pop of airtime for everyone on the ride, before the roll takes its riders on the 5th inversion, twisting out into the final breaks. Hang time is jam-packed with some of the best elements this type of coaster can offer, and is perfectly paced so that every inversion is felt with a sense of -Gs. For the best experience, I highly recommend sitting anywhere in the back row for the greatest feeling of forces on the coaster, especially on that initial drop off the holding brake, where you're essentially getting pulled down from the top. A really cool aspect of this ride, and one that I missed out on, was riding hang time at night when the light package is turned on, adding another layer to the excitement for this ride. That adds to my list of missed opportunities and reasons for me to make a return to Knott's Berry Farm. I mean, there's also not riding Ghost Rider, Montezuma's Revenge when it opens, and the 5 other coasters here as well. As I mentioned at the top of this video, I came to the park in the evening, in the middle of Knott's summer night events, where the park holds concerts and allows late night riding for pass holders. This made the park extremely packed. Underestimating the park's attendance and summer event falls entirely on me, and I missed out on what feels like about 80% of what this park has to offer. Besides these coasters, I missed out on the shows, food, dark ride, and overall charm and immersion. So if you somehow never heard about this park, then let me be the first one to tell you that Knott's Berry Farm is an amazing place, fun for the whole family, and should be added to any trip to Southern California. If you've been to this park, let me know if you agree, disagree, or just tell me what I missed out on here in the comments. And if you stuck around this long, consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Lastly, I just want to say thank you for watching, and remember to stay united.